Many Photoshop users think of a single Photoshop document as containing just a single design. Often, clients want to see a number of variations with different imagery and color schemes. These variations will still share many of the same elements, sometimes changing only in the layer styles used on a small number of the layers. Website designs present a similar situation. There are multiple pages with unique content, but each will also share the same backgrounds, menus, and other elements. Creating separate Photoshop documents for each variation or each page design in a single project is not a great way to handle this. If shared elements change, you'll need to change them in all the documents that use them. Luckily, Photoshop provides a solution to managing multiple variations of a design within a single Photoshop document. It's a tool called the Layer Comps palette, which you can open from Photoshop's Window menu. The Layer Comps palette lets you save the way the document looks at a particular point without saving out a separate PSD file. This is called creating a layer comp. You can then continue to make changes to the file, and whenever you feel like it, restore the document to one of the layer comps you created. You can make many comps within a single document and rapidly switch between them. Layer comps are simpler than you might assume. They don't store a complete copy of your document the way that saving out a complete PSD would. They are a lot more efficient than that. They remember important information about the layers in your document so you can recall them later. There are three kinds of layer information any layer comp can preserve: layer visibility, layer position, and layer style. You get to choose for each layer comp you create which of these you want to track. Let's create some layer comps and see how they work. We'll start with a very simple document so you can clearly see what's going on. At this point, we haven't created any layer comps, so the layer comps palette is empty except for a special comp that's always there called last document state. We'll talk about that in a minute. Layer comps remember what the document looks like at the exact instant you create them. In this document, we have a button layer and a background layer. The background layer's color is set using the color overlay style, which we'll manipulate later. I want to create a comp that shows only the background layer, so I'll start by hiding the button layer. Now I'll create my new comp. You create a new comp by clicking the New Comp button at the bottom of the Layer Comp palette, or by choosing New Layer Comp from the Layer Comp palette menu. The New Layer Comp window lets us name the comp. I'll name it Background Only. I can also determine what layer information we want to track using these checkboxes for visibility, position, and appearance. We'll track just visibility for this layer comp. Now I want to make a comp showing both the background and the button layers. I'll make the button visible and create yet another comp. I'll name it Button and Background. Now the fun begins. We can swap the document back to the layer settings saved in the first layer comp by clicking in the little box to the left of the layer comp's name. Adobe calls this applying the layer comp. Now that we know this, we can quickly swap back and forth by applying the different comps in turn. The Layer Comps palette acts a lot like the Layers palette. Notice the difference between clicking the little Apply Comp button and clicking to the right of the button. Clicking a layer comp's name area selects the comp without applying it, similar to the way you can select a layer in the Layers palette without affecting its visibility. Selecting a comp allows us to do things like delete it. You can select multiple comps by holding down the Shift key, just like you can select multiple layers in the Layers palette. I'm going to change the layer comp with the button so that it tracks the position of the layers as well as the visibility. To change what a layer comp tracks after you create it, select the comp and choose Layer Comp Options from the Layer Comps palette menu, Or as a shortcut, you can just double click to the right of the layer comp's name. I'll change the name and add position. Let's move the button layer to the right side of the document. Now I'll make a new comp that tracks position, and I'll call it button right. Now, applying one after the other actually moves the button to another area of the document. Pretty cool. Finally, let's make a couple of comps that track our background layer's layer style. I'll make a new comp called dark and track only the style. Now it remembers the settings all our styled layers had when we made the comp. I want to make a lighter version of the background and save it too, so I'll change the layer style itself. Now I'll make a new comp, being sure this one also tracks appearance. Now I can switch back and forth between them. Because the dark and light comps only track layer styles, they won't affect your layer position when we apply them. I'm going to apply the button left layer comp. Notice the little box that appears to the left of the button left name. It shows that this is now the active layer comp. However, if I turn off one of the visible layers, that little box disappears. This is because the document no longer reflects the same state as the layer comp did when it was created. I can update the comp so that it reflects the way the document looks right now. I do this by selecting the comp and choosing Update Layer Comp from the Layer Comp palette menu. Now this layer comp no longer has the home layer visible. There's a shortcut button to do this at the bottom of the Layer Comps palette. This makes it pretty easy to add or delete layers from an existing layer comp. Just apply the comp, then make the changes you need in the document and update the comp. If you need to add multiple layers to multiple comps, this can get pretty tedious. In the next video, we'll demonstrate a script that makes even that quick and easy. You can change the order of comps by just dragging and dropping them. You can delete one or more comps by selecting them and clicking the little trash can button. The last document state is a special comp that you can't change. Photoshop keeps it up to date, and it is always there to go back to the way the document looked before you started applying comps. I've opened a web design for a simple 5-page site in Photoshop. Each page has a layer comp already set up. All of the layer comps share certain layers, like the background and the 3 buttons, and each layer comp has one or more unique layers with page-specific content. I also have 2 new button groups, Prices and Contact Me, that I created after I set up my page layer comps. Notice they're not visible on any of the pages. I need to add them to all 5 of my page layer comps because they're part of my global site menu. Manually doing this would be tedious. Luckily, if you have installed SiteGrinder or the free Media Lab script pack, you have a very fast and simple way of achieving this. Our script allows you to add any layers or layer groups that you like to any of your existing layer comps. Step 1 is to select the layers you want to add in the Layers palette. Step 2 is to select the layer comps you want to add them to. In this case, I'll select all of them. Step 3 is to open Photoshop's Scripts menu under the File menu and choose Add Selected Layers to Selected Comps. The job is done immediately. One more example. I have created a layer encouraging people to visit my gallery page. I want to add this layer to every comp except the gallery comp. To do this, I select the layer. I then select every comp but the gallery comp by holding down the key that allows discontinuous selections and clicking. This is the Command key on the Mac and the Control key under Windows. Now I invoke the script again. Easy. That's all there is to it. Have fun with your comps.